Results revenue at 3.17 billion euros, up 4.2% year over year.
Reporting third quarter sales up 4.8%. Franklin Golf Romeo.
The Fed policy will be driven by the pace of the data. Same policy will remain accommodative.
Futures off sessions low, still down about 1% on the day for a little more than 4 pennies.
Be high on because that used to be a symbol. All right, Whole Foods.
So today is like the 57 was a technical level on the daily chart.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is that level?
I'd give it like a 6 or a 7. But then there's like at 56.70, there's that like previous high right there. So there wasn't like a huge potential to like just break clean and just drop. But there's a pretty big level like after the gap down day, and then the prior day, like that's pretty much.
Right, so let's just pause. So when we talk about technical levels, in your playbook you can have technical trades. You can make trades almost exclusively off of technical levels, but those levels have to be very significant. So some ideas of really significant technical levels for us would be what? So I'll just go through it. So if you are trading a high beta stock, like a Tesla or an Amazon or a Netflix, you would want that longer term technical level to be a 7 or above out of 10 based on your judgment scale. You would really only want to trade high beta technical trades when you're rating it 7 out of 10 or above. Okay, that would be one technical trade in your playbook. Another really effective trade in your playbook, based a lot on technicals, would be some sort of consolidation, range developing below VWAP, and you want to trade it on the short side. And so something that's clearly holding below VWAP, and you're using VWAP as a technical indicator for you to actually make a trade. So VWAP is a very, very good indicator for intraday trading, right? Okay. So you want to learn how to use that. Another very, very effective technical setup is when something breaks from a particular level, really goes up very strongly from one particular level and pulls back to that level on light volume quickly. That's a very powerful technical setup for the way that we trade as well. Okay, and look, there's going to be other technical setups that you guys find. You know, support and resistance on longer term levels is important. If you're just going to make them off of technicals and you're not going to combine the tape and other things with it, then that's got to be probably a 7 out of 10 or above as well. I think a second day play is a form of a technical setup as well. Something was weak the day before, something was down, over 3% on lots of volume, finished at the bottom 20% or the top 20% of the move. So the bottom 20% of the move, if it's weak to the downside, the top 20% if it's strong, I think that's, and that could be a pretty big level, or just something the day before where there's a tremendous amount of volume done, that the stock moved in a particular direction from that level. So you want to start to sort out the technical levels that make sense. So that's why I asked that question. So are you confident that this is a significant, and I think that's the problem that a lot of newer traders have, is that they base their technical analysis off of levels that are not going to be important to intraday traders. They base their technical trades off of levels that are not going to work for the time frame that we trade. Okay, so you got to be careful about going and look at a longer term level, and then as an intraday trader, using that information. Okay, so does everyone understand that? I just find, people make up levels. It's the 5 days crossing over the 20-day, which is like, I think in my book, the playbook, I called it like the under the shirt, over the river, through the woods, technical setup, whatever you guys want to call that. But like, don't make up the technical levels. You'll make money off of very, very significant technical levels. You will be very frustrated off of other technical levels, which any idiot can't look at the screen and identify. It's too hard. It's not going to be a technical level that works. It's just going to be indecision. When somebody's going to be like, no, I think that's a long. No, I think it's a short. No, I think it's a nothing. Right? We have 5,000 plus stocks to trade. Lots of different setups within that. Pick the good ones. All right, so you feel confident this is a good level?
I feel like it's a pretty good level because we got down as low on the.
All right, anyone disagree? Anyone think this level's crap? All right, so it's okay.
What was your rating?
I have no idea. It's not my level.
All right. And like yesterday we closed at.
It looks like a good level to me. I mean, that's clearly the price that it went up from the last time it went up. I think that's a pretty good level. Yeah. So, all right. So you want to just buy that level, or you want to short below that level?
I was like waiting on the open to play like either over or under depending on how strong the SPY was and depending on what the tape said.
All right. Let's bring up the intraday. So
So
we like this level. Okay.
And so like the first, like when we opened, we hit 57, we hit 57, hit 57. We got rejected. Like, so I got short at 92, and then my opening drive trade is like a different trade from the other one. So I covered that one at 70 cents, which was the previous high on the daily chart. I had 2 lots. I would have kept the other lot, but that was just the momentum lot. I was just playing the opening drive. So I didn't know what it was going to do. This was strong. Then when it ripped back up, I got about 50.
So you shorted at like 92 cents and covered at 70 cents?
Yeah.
So I don't want to make opening drive plays for 22 cents.
All right.
So one thing to think about. I want to play them for much more than that, or else it's not worth it to me. So you're going to be wrong a lot, and there's a lot of slippage. You need to expand that, probably 75 cents at a minimum.
Well, then my good trade was like we got back about 57, like 57.08. Like there's like a held offer after it went to 57.09, and then it dropped pretty really weak. Got back about 57.4. I got short at 57, and then I added when it like came down like down a little bit, like that consolidation to the left a little bit. I got added a lot, went under that at 72, and I covered on the double bottom.
Underneath that consolidation right there from the 10 and 1030,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, I added a lot of it there at 72 cents, and then I covered on the double bottom, and I'm still short.
That's good. So I like your trade. I like your trade there below 75 cents. Below 70. I'm not exactly sure. Is it 75 cents? Yeah, I like that. I mean, to me, that's below the level of 57. Now we got a little bit later in the day. It's a trend. To me, it's trending intraday. It's potentially trending intraday to the downside there at that when it gets below 56.75, and it's below that 57, which is a longer-term level. And it's shown that it really can't trade much above 57. It had a chance to trade above there, but it really couldn't do it. It seems to me you're wrong at 86 cents probably. You could probably cover half there and sort of do that. You know, the question is can it really go down a lot? If you bring up the longer-term charts, you got a little bit of a problem there, right? Which is if it gets below 57, you know, what's your next level?
That like right under there, that previous high we're going on is like 56.70. That's where it's getting 70 from. Like the tape just slowed down. I have a problem with like opening drives a big good print, and then like eventually just like it comes to my stop when I clearly got like 20 cents. So that was a level I was worried about, and obviously it wasn't really happening. But then like right under there, like that's what I didn't like about it so much is like it's not like when it breaks 57, there's nothing until like 55. There's kind of that previous like like up a little bit. Like that consolidation is right there. But that's gonna be my target up a little bit. That's where I'm looking around at 56.
Yeah, so that's okay. So I think that's your issue there, which is it enough? I mean, you're gonna have to be dealing with 56.11. Is it worth shorting 56.74 only to make 11 cents on sort of an intraday trend play? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What's below that, Max? What's below 55? 430? Yeah, I mean, it feels like this is going to go lower. Feels like this is going to go lower based on how it reacted after earnings. I would think that that's probably going to go. That's probably the next support area that Max is showing you right there. That 54.25. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Now, you got to sort of also understand the market was a factor today, right? The market got weak at times and rebounded at times too, right? And that's gonna, you need to be watching that as you're trading. So, you know, be careful that is the stock going down because the market's really getting weak? Is the stock going up because the market's now regaining strength? You want things optimally that are what?
They're going to go with the market.
Optimally, you want what?
Independent or
You want things right? You want things independently weaker or stronger than the market, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't. I mean, like, who the hell? I mean, how do you predict whether or not the market? Well, you could do that. I mean, there are people that do study this, but it's harder to predict. That's more futures trading, right? Futures traders come in, and you know, it's probably been a really good time to trade futures. Why? What's like probably the number one reason why it's been probably pretty good to intraday futures, intraday trade futures this year? What would you need as an intraday futures trader? What would be the most important thing? Yeah. So what's true of not only is it a trending market, but if you take a look at the days, what kind of days are we having? Having trend days, right? So you can come in, you can have an inside day, you can have a trend day, and the percentages of the market moving outside of yesterday's range are just off the charts for this year. So that's a good thing. So and that's when I say you can predict whether or not the market can go up or down intraday, you can. I just think that's probably harder, and your win rate's going to be a little lower. You can certainly do it. And we talk about this in our training program, where you can take a look at sort of understanding whether or not it's going to be range day, understanding whether or not it's going to be a trend day. You know, there are lots of pretty cool tools you can use. You know, you can use, anyway, so we'll talk about that a little bit going forward. But it's easier as an intraday trader to trade something with independent order flow, something weaker than the market or stronger than the market. And it appears that this is weaker than the market, right? Yeah. This is considerably weaker than the market today.
This morning when the market really popped up, that's when it popped up to 57, the market kept going and it kind of stalled out and dropped 57.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by that. So, yeah, the market got really strong and it really couldn't trade above 57, failed above 57, and then showed you, as the market's going up, showed you an intraday breakdown. That's independently weaker than the market. That's good. That's better for your position. It's more likely it's going to go down. All right, good. All right. And so your question is, should you stay short? The answer is,
I'm still
let me see the intraday. Max, should we stay short or not? Definitely stay short, says Max. No? Yes and no? Yes.
Do you have a quarter left?
Yeah, I still have half left. But I covered my half at a double bottom, and then I sold another half.
Got to be in it to win it. We'll see what happens. Below 56.11 could be interesting, right? Yeah. That other level. All right, good. All right, who's got another trade? Thank you. Who's got another trade they want to talk about?
WMT.
I get close enough. Sorry.
WMT. Can you pull up like a 5-day chart? Yeah, that's fine. So they reported 3 or 4 days ago, and they beat, but the outlook was cautious. You know, they said the economy, you know, all the uncertainty, holiday spending, you know, the consumer is going to be cautious and both. So, you know, basically uncertainty. And as you can see, it popped up initially, and now it's kind of traded in a range since then. So I'm looking. I got short right on the open at 79.20.
So if you were to set an alert, where would you have to set an alert looking at that chart?
At the bottom and the top.
Yeah, you'd all have to set alerts for where. So I'll go back to our seats and set an alert for. Okay, thank you. And then the bottom, Will, is 2 cents.
Yep.
Okay, so let's set alerts for those ranges.
So for me as a trader, I'm much more comfortable getting in a trade at the top of the range and setting a tighter stop as opposed to, you know, getting in when it breaks the bottom of the range. It's just, for me, it's more difficult to get in. So I'm still in it. I'll continue to hold it and then, you know, put a stop up there above that high wick, 79.53. You know, you had some of the retailers report
Oh,
today.
you're short.
Short, yeah.
Oh. Really?
Yeah.
What am I missing?
Well, I just thought that yesterday the sell-off we had in the market felt different than, you know, the past ones we've had. You had some of the retailers report today, and they kind of reiterated similar sentiments, so you might get some people, you know, cautious about the holiday spending and everything with all the retailers.
Max, can you show me a longer term chart? That chart, I don't get the short, but maybe I'm missing something. So it's at a high. Okay. So you're just going to make sort of a scalp on the short side? Maybe you think you can come back, you can just kind of get pretty weak? I mean, it's not like it's run up that much, is it?
No, not a ton, but it's near highs. And
so your thesis is we were weak yesterday. I think this is sort of the same process that you got to go through. If remember we talked about when DDD was really strong and SSYS were really strong, some of the first tier 3D printers, and Caruso found like a third tier OMPO, and it really ran and made a nice options play on that, right? Yep. And you know, we said in this room, hey, start to understand their second tier 3D printer stocks, third tier 3D printer stocks, start to learn the sector, and you know, the first tier will go, and then the second tier will go, and the third tier will go, even probably the big tier, they'll go too. And then understand the patterns inside of these particular sectors. For instance, the big tier are the better of the fade patterns. They go up, you fade them. Anyway, but there's money to be made with laggard, second tier, third tier. The first tier go, they go up a run, play momentum on them, great. How about it? And there's this lagging of the second and third tier. You can make some swing trades in that. And there's good fade trades to make with the big tier stocks. So you got to learn the way these things move. So, you know, I like it. I like the way you're thinking, which is we're weak yesterday. Let's look for things to short, right?
mm-hmm.
I would look for things that first. I would look for things that were weak finally yesterday and had room to actually go down. Like for instance, I think you guys gave me the level, but in DDD, below that 78.50, that would be the first place I would start. All right. If you are putting this thesis together that I want to make money on the short side because we were weak yesterday. What are some of the things that have really gone up a lot, Will, that people are saying have gone up too much and showed some weakness yesterday for a second day play? That would be the first place I would start. Yeah, this would be I think this would be the first stock I look at. I don't know if it's going to go down. I'm just saying, thinking through that process.
Right.
So, some of the things that have really gone up. Go, if it was near 30, would be something like that. If it was weak yesterday. What are some of the other stocks that have really blown up that people think are kind of overdone? Tesla. I would look at Tesla today. I think Tesla would have been something I definitely would be thinking about today on the short side.
Solars.
Okay, some of the solars. Okay, so you want to substitute. So it's not that your idea is wrong in any way, and I think your levels are really good. I don't know that I'd start there. So, and I don't know from that chart. Oh, we'll see. The chart looks pretty strong. I guess it gets lower level. The other thing is, like yesterday, a lot of the momentum stocks really rolled over, right?
Yeah.
That's not a momentum. So again, not that they can't go down, but that's not a momentum stock.
Yeah.
That's just a strong retail stock that's going up with the market, right? So bang for your buck. You know, there might be some other things to look at. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And all right. Let's talk about. I think what I did today. So, BBY. Intraday. I think we got to catch that. In terms of like, you know, stock had reported, when that gets below that 40, 60 level, a little higher, max. That's a pretty good opening drive right there. That was a pretty good opening drive candidate. Gapping down. Let's take a look at the longer-term chart. This something's gone up a lot, right? It's gone up a lot. So those are the type of opening drives to the downside you want to be looking at. Because it can go down a lot. I mean, it can go all the way down to where we're down to, which is 39.30, which is that next level, right? Go high max, 39.30. So that's that level it broke out from last time. Guess where that stock could not trade below today? 39.30. Believe it or not. I was actually thinking about getting along there, and I didn't do it. But that was the first. That was the technical level to think about. I don't know. It was weak. I didn't feel like getting long. And I think the long was only up to 40 anyway. I mean, what are we really missing? 39.30 to 40. Not the best. But that's a good example right there of you got to understand your levels, right? I mean, stock is weak intraday. It's weak intraday, has an opening drive. Stops where? At the longer term support level. Market didn't make that up, right? Same thing with SCTY. Which one? SCTY. Okay. That was a bit lower, but it stopped right at 48, 47.80. Okay. All right, got to know your levels. And on that note, enjoy your lunch.